Okay, so the first stage is to warp the loom. So what you do is you tie the yarn on in one corner, and then you bring it round and put it through the small notches that are on the loom. Now the one thing you have to be careful about here is that the top of each one of these is rounded, so I've actually found that it's quite easy for the yarn to slip off if you don't watch what you're doing carefully. And I found also that when you're actually doing the weaving, there's a bit of a problem. So the easiest thing to do is when you bring it to each end, just put your thumb there just to secure it while you bring it round. Again, finger there. And then you keep going. You see here it's quite easily slipping off. And when you get to the final bit, you'll need to tie it off on the frame again. Just cut. And we're back again now with the Bigjigs Weaving Loom, which we started work on a week or so ago before I lost my voice. We're now going to try doing the next stage of weaving. So the first thing we need to do is to take the thread spacer, which Mr. C has potentially identified as actually being a bicycle wheel spoke with the end bent over. So what we do here is this is used to help you when you start using the shuttle to bring your next thread across. So first of all you go under the first thread, over the next, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. And what this helps you do by pushing down on this, it opens up the space here to help you get the shuttle through. So we'll just shuffle that up a bit for now. So now what we have is what's called the Loom Shuttle, which I've put on some blue thread on this already. So I'm going to start at this side because I'm right-handed and go across. So it says that you should tie this thread onto one of the existing threads on the loom. So we'll do that just with a little double knot. And I'll then take this and I'll use my thread separator here to push that down. So we're going to go under the first one, over, under, over. So you push this through here, and this is where it's a little bit tricky just because the yarn that's being used is what I think is an acrylic yarn, so it catches a little bit. So you pull that through, and that's your first bit of weaving. Now what you also have in the kit here is this comb, and this is the ideal use of this is to help you push the thread down. Now it'd actually be a bit better if this was as wide as the wooden loom itself, because as you saw I'm having to do it in two separate pieces. Now to go back across with the shuttle, we need to separate the threads again, but this time where we've gone under this thread before, we actually want to go over it. So that won't work with the thread separator the way we have at the moment. So you actually have another thread separator. So in this case you want to go over, under, 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 that way. Now if you have both of these thread separators on at the same time, it just doesn't work, and I can't quite see how it should work, and maybe that's me not understanding weaving well enough. So we actually have to take this one out. You have to be a bit careful here that you don't end up pulling one of the threads and therefore pulling it off the loom entirely. So once that's out of the way, got this one in place. So now what we can hopefully do is push that one down, open up the gap again, and go back across with our shuttle. And that's the second row done. And again, you can use your comb to push it down. Now one tip here is what you shouldn't do is pull that really tight so that it actually pulls in those threads. So it needs to be a little bit of give in it. Now unfortunately though, when you actually look at the illustration on the front of the box, they've actually done what they tell you not to do, which is pull it tight so it bunches all in the middle. You don't want that. These lines should actually be all remaining parallel with each other even when you've finished. So it's time now for me to sit down with a drink of something and carry on weaving this, because it's probably going to take me quite a while before I get further down. So we're in progress now with the second colour in our weaving, and we've sort of worked out one quicker way of doing this is we've just done one from left to right, so using the existing thread spacer. If we now push that one to the far end of the loom, what you can do is then put the second one through, so whereas that one's over, so we go under, over, 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 under. And with that one pushed out of the way now, we can actually use this one to go in the opposite direction. And the problem we're finding is sometimes as you're pulling this through, you can actually catch these red threads and it can actually pull it off the ends. So we've got that one through, and we'll use the comb to bring it down, and then we can just take this one out again. Again, being careful that we don't pull the red thread off the loom. And then we're just back in play using this one without having to faff about putting it in and out again. Right, so I've now done 3 colours worth here, but the problem is that that's all I can do. There are only actually 4 different coloured threads in the box, the red, blue, yellow and green. So you haven't actually got enough yarn to complete the whole loom full of weaving, which just seems to me a bit of a slight omission. You either need a smaller loom or more yarn. Obviously I've got plenty of yarn here in the house, but if you were to buy this as a gift for someone, a child, it might be a bit of a disappointment if they can't actually complete what they started. So I will go away now and probably finish this, but unfortunately I couldn't do that with what I've been given in the kit.